everyone. We're ready to go. We're not going to have a countdown today. We're going to jump right into it. We are at 3 Martini Lunch. It is a national virtual networking event powered by Rockstar Connect. I'm glad that everyone can attend and people are going to be jumping in over the 2 hours. We use a special structure for this virtual event so you're able to learn more about our illustrious panelists and what motivates them to be the successful entrepreneurs and business people that they are. You know, I was having some thoughts today when I was driving around town. I saw a lot of empty parking lots. And all of us, you know, many of us are working from home. I would imagine some people have gone back to work, right? I haven't really observed that. Has anyone seen people going to work, or is everyone pretty much working remotely?
I can tell you alone by the traffic from what I see in the mornings, people are definitely going back to the office a little bit because it's getting worse every week.
I concur. I'm on the road quite a bit, and I see a lot more traffic than I saw back in March and April and May.
And so what about parking downtown? It looks pretty empty when you go downtown, Chris.
I think part of it is because there's a lot of the tech industry downtown. You've got Red Hat, you got Citrix, you got, you know, and those people are not in the building right now. Those are the ones working from home. And you've got, you know, co-working spaces that have some people in them, not nearly as many as they did. I mean, plus with all the development, it's hard to find parking anyways with all the development in the whole area down here.
Katie, what's it like out there in Charleston?
I think it's a little bit of both. I know some people that are going to the office. Some people are working from home. It's really both. Like, I have friends that are doing both. It's really mixed. Traffic is picked back up a little bit. So yeah, I think it's both. Good.
And Ray, in California, I guess with the fires, everyone's just staying home, right?
It's a mix. It depends where you're at. I think in the Sacramento area, there are people that are going back to the office. But I think there's just so many people that are unemployed right now that are looking for something else, that I think that's the big impact compared to the fires.
Oh, so California has some pretty high unemployment then?
Yes.
I wasn't aware. Adam, how's it down in South Florida? Everything pretty much open? People going to work, or they're working from their condos and their houses?
Tell you the truth, Stephen, I live on the beach and I'm totally clueless as to what's happening in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Boca. Almost everything I do is within 3 miles of my place, and I walk to half of them.
Yeah, I've been around a lot. You know, we do real estate as well, Sarah and I, and we have been traveling everywhere. We've been going hours away from our house, chasing that business. You know, thank God real estate is essential and busy. We're very happy about that. And so let's get back to the format. Hey, do you want to explain what the format is, Domenic, to everyone that's listening today?
Yeah, of course. So we are working with the Success is Contagious format. So this is a 2-hour program. For the first hour, we're going to be talking about what it is that we do as professionals and business owners and the successes that we've had in the past week, sharing some of those with our audience so that they get a little bit motivated and pumped up for the week that they're about to take on, and know that there's people out here like us and like themselves who are excited to be doing business in this environment and are being successful doing it. And then after that, we go through what is the question of the week, where Stephen will announce a topic that we're going to address. And it's an opportunity for us to get to know each other, for our attendees and the people viewing this on Facebook Live, to get to know the panelists a little bit, to get to know the types of things that we value, that we find important, and why we do what it is that we do each and every day. So, you know, that's essentially how it works. And in the second hour, we'll have some additional panelists coming on to share their thoughts as well.
You paid very good attention. Thank you, Domenic.
Yeah, I'm a good study.
We have a super deep question today. Sarah, don't you agree? It's really deep. I'm speaking to Sarah Elliot, my wife, my partner in Rockstar Connect, co-founder and co-creator of Rockstar Connect. She's the producer of this show. And in addition to that, runs all the processes that are necessary to run hundreds of events, live events all over the country. And it's been a pretty good week for Rockstar Connect. We're starting to get a lot of our events around the country booked. So we have a few coming up in Florida. Ray, you're going to have one in California soon, I understand. We have some more being booked here in the Triangle in Raleigh. And of course, we've already had some events in Florida, and we should have more now coming soon. And one of the challenges are, because of COVID, a lot of the venues that were smaller that may have been able to host our events, they're not able to do so because now they have maximum capacities, so they're not able to do large events. Also, some of the venues have gone out of business, and they have actually just are completely non-existent. And I would say that's at least 25% of the venues that we utilize have gone out of business or have closed temporarily. But closed temporarily is not a good sign. So we pray for all the venues we work out there, our fantastic partners that are enabling our great hosts like Domenic and Ray and Katie to have fantastic events around the country. Speaking of events locally, we're going to start with Chris today, Chris Rogers. Chris Rogers hosts a Rockstar Connect event here in the Triangle. We do a special event. This will be the third one we're doing at his venue, Sullivan's. It's a socially distanced event. It's a safe event. We have the venue professionally sanitized before the event. We wear masks when necessary and required. In other words, when we're not eating or drinking. I'd like to see someone pull that off. Right, Domenic? Is someone drinking right through their mask?
Oh, actually, I've seen that a couple of times, and videos or posts on social media where somebody's cut a slit in their mask and they're drinking with a straw, or maybe they're in a band and they're playing a saxophone or a clarinet through it, and you're just like, doesn't that defeat the purpose of what that's supposed to do?
Concept of masks are changing entirely.
Yeah, no kidding.
At the beginning of this, I used to make fun of people wearing their masks in their car absolutely by themselves. And now I find myself frequently doing that, driving for like 5 minutes, go, what the hell? I can't believe I'm driving alone in my car with a mask on. That's how conditioned we are. But also at the event, we take temperatures at the door. When people are going from table to table, they wear their masks. We don't hug one another, nor kiss one another, or shake hands. We do elbow bumps and stuff along those lines. And combining all those things make for a much safer event. And it's beautiful going to the live events because people are thirsty for it. People are feeling isolated. They're feeling lonely. Lonely is not the same thing as depression. I want you guys to understand that. And you can be surrounded by family and friends and still feel lonely if you're being separated from your normal routine. Someone like Adam Bricker, who is a big extrovert and enjoys going out and meeting people, even though he has a great girlfriend and lots of friends, it's a disruption for him. So people that are Rockstar Connect attendees and Rockstar Connect hosts, they come from a particular, nation or tribe that has a necessity to go out into public. And that's not just because they're extroverts. It's because they thrive on helping and assisting other people. That is their mission. And it's not just Rockstar Connect attendees, but I would say all Rockstar Connect attendees share that. And I would love to see a sociological study of our members, because what I'm finding is people all over the country that are so similar to one another, so giving, so friendly. I don't know if you guys were the most popular kids at school or whether you're the bullied kids at school and you're trying to make up for that and, to show everyone, the example of how we can all get along. And that's regardless of, what the political persuasion of the Rockstar Connect attendee is. Of course, it's different. We have people from all over the United States and all over Canada. I'm happy that everyone can participate. So the next event at Sullivan's, Chris Rogers' place, is this Thursday. That is the 24th. And I know Diego is going to be there. And Domenic and Clint are going to be there, and maybe a few more of the people that are coming on. Jenny has some babysitting issues, childcare issues that she's not going to be able to attend. Boo, hiss. Give the kids the neighbors. Just give them the
kids not going to school is just like, it wouldn't be an issue if daycare were open.
I think Chris is going to open a little daycare in Sullivan's for the next one, and he's going to be in charge of that.
Give them all half a knockout and see what happens.
I will gladly help with that.
He'll give them a signature cocktail, a signature fall cocktail, and they'll be absolutely ready. So the event is 11:30 to 1:30 at Sullivan's. Tickets are $55, and that includes a wonderful meal with a salad, a choice of entree, 2 sides. But that's, we're just sort of paying the rent on the place by doing that. We have the entire restaurant to ourselves for networking, and that's the enormous value. Almost everyone I've spoken to that's gone to the event has made a connection that has led to either immediate business or potential business. So it's of great value. Like Diego, you've been to the event, you met some good people. Jenny, I know you have received some business from the event. Domenic and Clint, I'm guessing the same thing. So Chris, what has been your success since last Tuesday in the last 7 days? And this could be your business success, your family success, or just you got out of bed today.
I think every day that you get out there is actually a success. Actually this week is the first week I've actually gone out to do marketing outside of the restaurant. Like I've actually gone into businesses and doors weren't shuttered up, and, people didn't look at me like I was absolutely insane. I mean, when I go to see businesses and they hear I'm from Sullivan's, they generally crack a smile really quick. But actually getting out of the building and going out and doing things, my wife had a couple successful date nights in the last 2 weeks. So, we actually got one tonight I'm pretty excited about. We're going to go karting and axe throwing. So a lot of fun stuff going on in the Rogers household.
So how do they do the axe throwing while in a go-kart? It just doesn't seem very safe to me.
Well, when I was a kid, I played a lot of Mario Kart, so I've got a lot of experience. Turtle shells are completely different than axes, however, but, we make it work.
I've never heard of this Mario Kart. As far as I'm concerned, you're making that up. But I did notice I saw you at a brewery, and you're wearing that coat. You're wearing a coat at the brewery. I think you should leave the coat in the car. Just relax a little bit.
Well, if you went outside yesterday, you know how cold it was. It was actually pretty chilly outside yesterday afternoon, and that coat was actually a lifesaver. Poor Scott, I thought he was going to shrivel up and just blow away.
I bet. I mean, I'm getting to enjoy all the cold weather because I have the evening puppy duty. Taking the puppy out. And I think last night he only went out like 4 times. And I didn't break any toes or anything while I was doing it, so I consider that a major accomplishment. But the sleep deficit is absolutely real. I am like dragging my butt around, and the less sleep I get at night, the more busy my day for some reason comes. So I'm thinking, for those of you who want to increase your business, try sleep deprivation, because if you have very little energy to handle that extra business, Murphy's Law, you will have much more business. Jenny totally agrees with me, so that doesn't always happen. So let's go over to Jenny now while we're on the same page. Do you want to talk about a little bit about that before we talk about your successes for the week?
Yeah, no, I was working too much and networking too much. Like I was doing too many of all the things, and I burned myself out, which led to sleep deprivation, which is usually the opposite for me. Like normally I'm like sleeping for 15 hours when I'm burned out. And I went like with very little sleep over the course of 2 weeks, and my calendar just kept filling up. And finally I was like, you know what? Done. I stopped. I turned off my booking. I turned off everything because I was like, I need to figure out how to sleep. Like at one point, Domenic like said hi to me, and I burst into tears. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. Like he was like, hey, how's it going? I was like, I can't talk to you.
I mean, it's exactly
that happened. That legitimately happened.
Sleep is what we need to keep healthy, and but we also want to stay successful. Success is contagious. Pay our employees, etc. So this woman yesterday, and this woman, she takes everything extremely seriously. She was a client of mine, and very seriously. She made a post. If you did not need to sleep 6 to 8 hours a night, what would you do with that time? And I said, I responded in the comments, I would take a nap. And that totally just blew her mind. She just absolutely did not know how to process that. She goes, would you take a nap for the full 6 to 8 hours? And I said, absolutely. I'm a professional napper. I know how to do it well. Loving the fact that the bed has a 0 gravity button on it. Feels like you're in a spaceship. Makes instant naps happen instantaneously. So Jenny, I think one of the biggest successes you've had in the next week is now Sarah and I are going to be your clients.
Yes.
And so we're real excited about that.
Success. Yeah.
Doing some branding stuff in the next couple weeks, and changing my image. You're going to make me look like George Clooney.
Yep. Well, I just saw you definitely need updated photos for your new award. So.
Yeah, I do need updated photos.
That was the first thought I had. I was like, we need to get his headshot done like now.
Well, get a haircut. That's one thing I do need to get before that.
How much hair do you have to get cut to make you look like George Clooney, Stephen?
I actually, if you want to hear my George Clooney story, on eBay, and if you just look at my pictures from 6 years ago, I was an absolute positive stud, and I bought one of George Clooney's suits on eBay, and I was able to wear it, and I actually had to take in the waist in order to wear his suit. Giorgio Armani, Mano suit, got George Clooney's name right on the inside, bought it from his closet cleaner in Beverly Hills. So I would love, if you're able to take photos, it'll make me fit in that suit.
Sure.
If you can take photos that can make me fit in that suit, you're going to be a billionaire.
I'm just interested I'm wondering how Stephen thinks suits work. Do they think that all George Clooney suits go out in his size?
No. Well, he doesn't wear his suits, I'm sure. But this one, it was
much more expensive.
A $35,000 suit. He probably at least put it on his body once. At least once. I also have some Robert De Niro stuff that I know he did not wear, but we go back and forth in size.
Are we talking like Taxi Driver or like
pretty recent stuff, like from not the Fockers, before that, in between Goodfellas and Meet the Fockers.
All right.
Did you make him an offer he couldn't refuse?
That's
what's really cool is if you go on eBay, there are all these sites that resell suits from movie sets. And if you have someone like Joe Pesci, who's about my height, I think I'm about 4'8", if he will be on set, they'll have 20 suits for him. He may only wear one or none. He may decide to wear his own suit. They have to have all that stuff ready. Then at the end of the shoot, brand new suits, you can purchase them for like pennies on the dollar, but very high quality. So I'm giving you some of my shopping secrets here as well. So Katie, you had a lot of fun this week, a lot of good stuff on social media.
I have.
Yeah, so
a really
big thing happening this weekend.
Yes. So we have a huge virtual fundraiser that's free to attend this Saturday, and you can attend from anywhere in the country. It's only 30 minutes. It's from 7 to 7:30. And during that time, you'll hear from me live. You'll see our world-renowned magician from the Magic Castle. You'll see our new branding video, which no one except my parents have seen, and it's so good. You'll hear a video from Jawan, the little boy that inspired my whole nonprofit to give bikes to kids. You'll hear from him and his grandma about the impact of my relationship with him and what they feel like the bikes are doing for the community. And then you'll have an opportunity to donate if you want to, but if not, it's just a good way to learn about going places on another level that I think most people don't really know. And then we also just launched yesterday our silent auction. So that's available. That goes from now all the way till Sunday. And not every item you need to live in Charleston to bid on. There's some really, really cool things that you can just pick from a website and it'll be sent to you. So I'm going to put all that information in the chat so you can check that out. But please attend. And I just want people to tune in and get to know us better.
Now, give me an example of one of the prizes that someone nationally can.
Sure. So OME gear. It's this insanely awesome. It's worth $360. And the starting bid is way, way lower. It's like a beach chair that transforms into a wagon to almost like a dolly, and it straps everything on. It transforms into 8 different ways of things you can do it and use it for. So if you have a bunch of kids and a bunch of stuff you're bringing to the beach, it's a really great way to lug everything in one sitting. And then it turns into your chair when you're there. Or I think it expands into something you can lay on. Like I said, there's 6 or 8 foldable ways.
That seems like a cool thing. Definitely.
Yeah. There's also a beach house for a week-long beach house you could rent in Charleston. Yeah, on Isle of Palms. That's beautiful and that sleeps a bazillion people. And so that's obviously, the starting bid's much lower and it's worth, $2,500. So stuff like that are bigger items, but things that, you may not normally be able to afford if it's at the full retail price, but also, it's tax deductible if you win, and it's going to a good cause.
Excellent. So it is a virtual event, but it is sort of like your big fundraiser gala event. So do you have
No, it's not a gala. It's not a virtual gala. There's
okay.
There's a different
fundraiser.
It's just a virtual fundraiser, a virtual event.
So you don't have to make big salon appointments or anything like that?
No, I'm going to get dressed up and put on makeup because everyone's going to see me, but no one will see you attending. You can be in your pajamas on your couch drinking wine, and no one will see you.
Well, your story tends to show up on my Facebook in the top 3. Sometimes
cool.
always in the top 3. And I was noticing yesterday, all the salons are closed. How come your eyebrows are perfect?
Well, our salons are not closed, but my eyebrows, as a teenager, it was the one thing my mom was like, don't ever over wax your eyebrows ever. You'll regret it for the rest of your life. And so I've been really, really good about keeping them. And then my eyebrows don't grow a ton like some people's. I can go 6 months and you barely notice anything. And then also eyebrow pencil is so then you can clean it up with.
Well, it looks great. I have crazy eyebrows. First of all, I can do this. But there's occasionally there'll be a really long crazy hair that comes out of one of them. And also my eyelashes too. I have mega eyelashes, and Sher will just come up and surprise me and yank it right out of my face. And she says,
I hope not the eyelashes. You're lucky.
Not the eyelashes. No, not the eyelashes. They tend to fall on the ground, but she'll go right to the eyebrow because I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. I had to do that, right? Right, Sarah? And I think she finds great, laughter and joy in it, and I don't scream a lot, so it doesn't bother me. A little bit I scream, or I usually say "mother," like that.
Ow, that really hurt.
Oh, that really hurt.
Oh, if you only knew what women went through.
Yeah, Sarah's great with her eyebrows.
Right after this, I have a face laser appointment, and let me tell you, that hurts. And I do it once a month, and
wow,
beauty's pain.
Well, you're the face of the organization, so it's the sacrifice you're going to make. Diego, thank you, Katie. Diego Munoz, can't wait to see you on Thursday at the event. maybe you can sit up on the main deck with us so we can have some more conversation up with Scott and Sarah and I. So what successes have you had in the last week? I sent you I don't know if that went okay.
Yes, I did. It went great, and I was going to mention it. Thank you so much for that. We're actually locked in with him and helped him out. He's down in Charleston, Katie, in your neck of the woods. And I got a call from Wake Forest zoning because there was an issue with grass growing. So Facebook is an extraordinary thing, because within 10 minutes of him giving me the okay to help find somebody, I posted it on one of the forums. I had like 59 landscapers reach out to me with quotes, and 10 minutes later, somebody was out there mowing the lawn for him.
Oh, that's great.
He paid it through Venmo, so it was amazing. But that was not my big success. My big success actually was something that happened. We'll say a while ago, but I didn't know it until about a month ago, and that is that I am a day older. I don't know what year you were born in, Stephen, but my birthday is actually Wednesday, tomorrow.
Oh, well, mine is Friday.
Oh, I thought yours was Thursday. Okay, I thought it was the day of the event.
Day after. But we'll sing happy birthday for both of us. Congratulations. Do you want to say the number, or we shouldn't ask?
The number, I think I'm celebrating the 32nd anniversary of my 29th birthday, so you could do the math.
No, that requires math. That requires math. Well, what would that be, Sarah? 51. I'm older than you by 1 year.
I'm actually turning 52. So there you go. I think we're
so we're the same age. Okay. Well, you're not a Libra though. You're a Virgo.
Correct. I'm like right there on the cusp. So
but
I'm just
Virgo.
Period.
Don't try to like take Libra if you don't deserve it. You got to earn that by being born at the right date.
I'll admit I'm not so well versed in it that I don't know. I don't know the difference.
Okay, so someone on the panel, if you come up with that information, because he needs to know, because we can prevent him from making terrible mistakes in his life based on your signs. 100%. So Adam Bricker in Florida, you have a lot going on, a lot of successes. We're actually going to see you, next month here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Excited about that.
I'm excited about that too. I see all these pictures of food on your Facebook all the time. I'm going to finally get to experience that.
Well, you can use that as a menu. If you just go to my Facebook page and type dinner, all the things I made in the last year should show up there. You can just pick what you like.
You can count on that. We'll be perusing that with Sarah, preparing to come up there. It looks like I'm going to wrap everything up down here at the beach. This is pretty private, so not for public consumption, but it looks like I'll be packing in my tenure here on the beach. I've transitioned from one life to the next. It's nice to have that next point to move forward. My biggest win of the week is one of the people I work with runs a group. Be a group maybe similar to this, much smaller, but all of their clients are dancers, dance instructors, dance schools, and we worked a deal for them for our digital business cards, for digital branding cards. So she's now become a reseller and has opened up a new area for me to work with. So we'll be working with a lot of dancers. And one of the biggest struggles we always get is getting videos from people to put on the cards, because videos look great. And they all have videos. So it's been a lot of fun meeting these people who are all pivoting from having a dance school to having a virtual dance school. So I'm real excited about working with this new group of people. And not only are they buying the product, but they get the service and the interaction, a training on how to actually, do things online that they're not used to doing. So I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited too, because we're going to get a training. Rockstar Connect is going to get a training in digital contact cards, specifically in the cards that Adam's company uses. There are a lot of companies that do this, but they don't have Adam Bricker running them. So they don't come from a networker's perspective. So that's why, we're going to be working with Adam, because he is a connector. He's won awards on connecting people. Continually, when I meet people across the U.S., they know who Adam is. And part of his new arsenal is using these digital contact cards. And there's just so much more than that. And we can't wait to have our own like Rockstar Connect account. But once he gives us the training and we understand it more properly, I'd love to have, a little interview with him, take 15 minutes and do a little deeper dive into how it can help all of us connect, all us Rockstar Connect hosts and attendees. So congratulations, Adam. Can't wait to see you. Adam was going to try to be here for the event at Sullivan's. It just didn't work out. Couldn't make it work out. But I'm sure you will see him at an event somewhere soon. Mr. Fuentes. So,
hello.
How are you doing?
Awesome and invincible. Thanks for asking.
Terrific. Why don't you share some of your great successes with us?
So I'm a realtor, as you can see by my name, and I have a new buyer and a new seller this past week. But what I'm really excited about is a coaching program I'm working on. So I'm expanding from real estate to coaching. I've coached in the past real estate agents, and what I found out is what I assume other real estate agents know, they don't. And then that expanded into what I thought other business owners should know or, would be common, isn't. So I'm building a coaching business as well.
Well, congratulations. I think that's terrific. And there are certain skills that a lot of real estate agents are definitely lacking. And right now, it's a very competitive market in many parts of the country, and your offer is not always going to be accepted. And guess what? If you're a jerk, you're pretty much guaranteeing your offer is not going to be accepted. So one of the things I hope you coach people in is how to play nicely with their colleagues so they recognize that we're all on the same team working for the same goals for our client. And really, we come back to this a lot on the show, real estate agents, the best ones are like social workers or teachers. Yes. They're not necessarily purely salespeople. They're giving knowledge and they're sharing options and they're facilitating transactions. So we had one listing we put up Thursday night, and by Friday afternoon we had 52 showings.
Wow.
52 showings. The first agent that called on the phone and established, at that point, all the offers start looking the same, right? They can only go so high. But the first agent that called on the phone who said he really wanted the property for his buyer, tried to establish a rapport. It was clear to me at that point that he was not the most experienced agent, which sometimes makes me nervous in a transaction. But he gave me all the information I needed to reach out to his team members to get a little background on his skills, so I would feel comfortable that someone would be supporting him. I spoke to his lender to make sure that the client was qualified. But because he made that effort to reach out and not just send an offer blindly, he got the deal. And then we put up another listing. Oh gosh, that was like Friday, 4 o'clock in the morning. We've been working a lot of hours, but as long as the dog is waking me up, I might as well get a little bit of work done. First showing, we went under contract, and we're putting up another one this week. And I have a feeling we sold, last time we sold a house in that neighborhood, it was the record price in that neighborhood by about $15 a foot. And I believe we're going to shatter that record this time. I love telling the client beforehand with a lot of confidence that we are going to, knock it out of the park for them, and we're going to get them under contract in a day so they aren't put out during COVID. And they don't believe it. And then it happens. It's like really exciting. Now, it's going to stink if it doesn't go that way. But so far, so good. Sarah and we received an award yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. From Wake County Living, which is one of the larger lifestyle magazines here in the Triangle. And we were voted the best buyer's agents in the Triangle. So we're really excited about that because we take a lot of pride in helping our clients. But, we do list property too. And I think we're we're even better at listing property than we are as buyers agents. And thank you for everyone who did vote. We appreciate it. So let's go over to, and congratulations on the coaching gig. I'd love to, get on a call with you and bat some things about. Clint. So Jenny is misbehaving, and Domenic and Clint. Sarah's telling me.
I am not misbehaving.
That is incorrect.
Sarah's telling me. Okay.
We never misbehave.
No.
Ain't misbehaving.
I'm laughing at myself.
Sure.
I don't know how long it was, but I had my name spelled wrong.
So true.
I'm sitting here laughing at myself because I had to fix my name.
You have to be very careful how you spell your name. It could be a hate crime.
Whoa.
Right? She knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so Clint.
Yes, sir.
You're not the last one. We'll let Domenic be last. What has been your great success for the week? And if you've had no successes, we feel bad for you. If you don't have any successes, how can we encourage you to have successes?
Well, I appreciate that, but I try to have at least one success of some kind. So this week I'm going to piggyback off Mr. Rogers here. My wife and I had a very successful date night last night at a new restaurant in Durham. So it's outdoor, indoor kind of venue. It's called the Honeysuckle Cafe at Lakewood in Durham. And it was really, really good. The food was good. The service was good. And I told Domenic this earlier, they had a drink called the Bee's Knees, and it's some kind of bourbon with honeycomb in it. And it was delicious, by the way.
So we know that's local, right?
Say what?
We know that's local then.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. And my professional success, I also have to give kudos to Chris and also you and Sarah because the gentleman Alan at Encore Restoration that cleans up Sullivan's and makes it nice and COVID free for us when we go in there on Thursdays. I'm going to be hopefully giving. I just gave him a proposal today, him and his IT director. After just getting in touch with him today. Already got all the information and sent over a proposal to sell a machine to them to help their business run a little bit more efficiently. So that's definitely a success.
And they seem like a really easy group of people to deal with. So that'll just be the first sale of something to them.
So it's just something else that comes from Rockstar. That's all.
Well, thank you. And we're all part of Rockstar, so we all take that. Thank you. So going out to restaurants, Chris, Clint, what is the tip now? I'm sure it's no longer, 15 or 20%. Maybe it's higher now. What's customary now in COVID?
You take that, Chris.
So, being on the sales and event planning side, I see what everybody tips beforehand because it's required to pick out what you're going to tip beforehand. Me personally, I'm a 25% or to 30% across the board. That's because I've been in the industry for so long and I understand every bit of it. But really, right now, I'm still seeing the average 18 to 20%. It's not, it's not influx. It's not gone down tremendously, but I'm still seeing about the average.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more. I think it's probably a lot less than it was at the beginning of all this, where people were tipping going to get takeout or pick up, curbside and tipping whatever their food was, and I don't think people can do that much anymore. So I think it's definitely ramped down a little. We did 30% last night because the person that owns it, her husband and her also, she actually cuts my wife's hair. And so it's one of those things where we wanted to support local and we wanted to support somebody that, my wife is friends with.
Are menu item prices going up?
They don't seem cheap.
We are going to see a slight increase just because the supply chain of beef is slowed down quite a bit. So we are actually about to roll out our menu 2.5. Which we're going to start bringing back some of our bone-in cuts, like the long bone ribeyes and stuff. And but we are going to see a price increase because we've seen a price increase on those across the board, and cost of goods on that isn't very good because most restaurants are still having to keep it very tight right now as far as across the board cost of goods, labor, everything. So.
Well, that'll mean an increase in tips for servers. So that's a good side benefit of that.
Yeah, no, and again, the higher check averages, it'll look good, but a lot of little other things that go into it. While it's great to sell a $70 long bone, that $70 long bone costs us, $40. Where, for instance, if somebody orders a fillet, they order a fillet, it costs us maybe $12, $15, and people pay $40-something for it. And again, I'm just throwing numbers out, but it raises your cost of goods. So while it's good for the for the number up top, it actually hurts your cost in the end.
Well, as I used to remind people when I was a chef, Chris, you don't put percentages in the bank. You put dollars. I'd rather sell that 100 long bones than 100 hamburgers any day of the week.
And that's the kind of results, or that's the kind of feedback we've heard, because, we have a long-standing guests that have been coming here for 20 years. And right now they're dying to get their long bone ribeyes in, their bone-in fillets back, like all the good cuts. So finally the voices are heard, and they're allowing us to get those back in the building, especially for Christmas time.
Excellent. Tomorrow, on Thursday, I want my fish on top of my salad. Can you do that? Okay, good, because I'm getting fish, not getting steak this time. Domenic, are you going to have steak, or are you having fish?
I'm going to eat beef. I mean, if I'm look, I can make pretty much anything, but I don't have an infrared broiler at my house. So when I get an opportunity to go and have a broiled steak, I will take it. So I am getting the steak.
And you don't have a prep cook or a dishwasher at home?
Well, no, that's just all me. Actually, I've got 3 children. They can be dishwashers.
So last night, our youngest one, we had salad last night because it's just like we've been eating a lot of beef. For some reason, beef prices for restaurants going way up. The Publix near us having incredible sales on great cuts of beef that, eat it while we can, right? But, lacking vegetables. So we made a salad, and she cut up the tomatoes, and she cut up the peppers and the cucumbers, and that's going to be the start of her education of knowing how to cook for herself when she goes away to college eventually one day, if we don't kill her. Hey, Domenic, so yes. What has been your success in the past week? I know you went to a dinner party and.
Yes, I was going to mention the dinner party. So I got to join you and Sarah with Heather and Mark and Tiffany Roberts over at Katia Rave's home with her new husband, Steve. And it was a beautiful setup, right? The whole house looked like a French garden. And it was just, it was gorgeous. We had a meal out on the front patio and just great time, great conversation. So that was definitely a success from the past week. I've started working on revamping my LinkedIn profile yet again, just upgrading it. But this time I'm doing a little bit more of multimedia. So one of the pieces that I posted was the podcast that I did on the Girls Who Do Stuff podcast. That's front and center in the media. But another project that I'm working on is taking 27 weeks of the 3 Martini lunch and distilling it down to the best of Dom version of the video. Now, I mean, I can do that and get away with it being, maybe 10 minutes because there's so many people and everything like that. And I just want to get like some good tidbits of things that, we've talked about over the time. I mean, if we tried to do best of Stephen David Elliott, it would be like 25 hours long and nobody would watch that.
Too much.
Too much, Stephen. But yeah, that's
start a side business, just, making everyone else making their best of reels for them.
If you did the best of reels for everybody who is a regular guest on 3 Martini Lunch, I think that you would have something great for people to have as content, because every time somebody either answers the question of the week or gives some additional insight, there's always some gold there. So to be able to pull out each person's best moments and put them into one video that they can use on their, as promotional material, I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, video is great. I mean, it's wonderful to have it, especially if you said something poignant or it's good quality. At the 3 Martini lunch, we do have a videographer there, Jeff Messer from NReach, and he does videos there in the background. You can do a testimonial about the event, but you could also say something about your business, in front of the camera, and we'll provide that to you if you're going to the event. Also, in addition to that, the people that went last time, didn't you like getting a list of everybody that went to the event? And that's sort of
nice.
Yeah, every attendee received a list, whether they were a sponsor or not. Just because of COVID, you need to be able to reach out to these people. You're not going to find them in their office. You can't just knock on the door of their office and find them. You need to have some way to connect with them. So we're going to jump into the question of the week, because it's, this question requires a little bit of thought. You're going to get a little more time for this. Sarah and I went over it, and we thought it was a really good question. It's sort of a dual question. It's a question with an explanation. The question is, at what point are we good enough? When are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves? And I'm going to give a little what my thought on that was. Sarah and I have a lot of confidence. It helps us to do what we do. But I'll tell you, at the start of COVID, having having a fear of maybe losing Rockstar Connect, something we worked so hard for, we invested so much time into, it was humbling. It really was humbling. And we had to prove once again to ourselves, and our team had to do this because, they do this with us, that we would emerge from COVID and not lose all our great effort. And in the first month or so, it was, really super, super scary, as I'm sure it was for all of us. So something that we got a lot of our pride from, we felt we were going to lose. Like, we love doing real estate, but Rockstar Connect is other level. Connecting people all over the United States, having the privilege of doing that, it's a dream for us, really. So that's what I was thinking about when I was thinking about this question. At what point are we good enough? When are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves? And why don't I start off with Adam this time? Because this is probably something that he can give a really good answer about and get everyone else's juices stimulated.
Have you guys been watching me? You have a hidden camera in here or something?
Yeah.
This is the exact process that we've been going through this past couple of weeks of being good enough. And the short answer is, you're good enough when you accept that you're good enough. And I came to the beach, and one day, as you guys get to know me more, you'll find the story of how I ended up here at the beach, which was just a miraculous place to be for a transformation. And I was trying to leave the beach earlier this year. I was set to be a nomad and travel throughout the country growing a business. And it's funny, every time you make plans, sometimes God just says, I got something different planned for you. And COVID hit, and
plans and God laughs.
Lots of laughing. And in a 3-month period, all the business that I had been working on was taken over by somebody else. And they opened the door for me to open Adam Connects. And at the same time, a wonderful woman came into my life. And she let me know that I was already good enough. And it was not a matter of me deciding I was, not a matter of me getting to a certain point, but just accepting that I'm already there. And it was just an absolutely incredible scenario. And when that happened, when I made that choice, when I made that acceptance, it seemed like everybody around me recognized it. I didn't mean they liked it. Okay? I didn't mean they liked it. Some people get jealous. Some people get offended. So it attracts the people who recognize and respect that you are good enough. and it repels the people who don't feel like they're good enough and they're not worthy of different things. So some of the relationships that just went away, others got challenged, but because we knew what was going on, we were able to help them realize they're good enough too. So a remarkable scenario. And Stephen, thank you so much for bringing that question up.
My pleasure. Now I have a question. Does that stick, that feeling that you're good enough, or does that evolve? Will that evolve over time, or we just don't know?
So what's really great is you get in my philosophical training, I have embraced the fact that you're not responsible for the first thought that enters your head. Okay, you can have tons of thoughts. So fears creep in, doubts creep in, but how you deal with them from the perspective that you're good enough makes all the difference in the world. So does it stick? If you get a really clearly defined purpose and you do everything through your purpose, it's going to stick.
Great advice and a great vision on that question. I'm going to go to Jenny next because I know Jenny likes to talk about how people feel like charlatans sometimes, and it's like they feel like a false expert. They have
imposters.
Other people do not have. Right.
Yeah, I talk a lot about imposter syndrome. Like I think that there's.
You want me to repeat the question?
I wrote it down.
Okay.
I write them down. That's what, like, as soon as you're like, I have the question of the week, I grab my pen and I'm like ready with my pad of paper and I write them down so I can reference them. But thank you. So I think that I think there's two answers to this actually. Like the first thing that popped in my head is like, the point of good enoughness is completely internal. There's no measure for it. Like it can vary minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. It doesn't, there's no point at which good enoughness happens, like that self-actualization hierarchy. It's a fluid thing. But the second part of it is, when are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves, is a really interesting concept, because I think that it's about how we approach goal setting and how we approach the milestones that we're going to celebrate. And at what point are we going to reach? It's so closely tied into success and how we define success for ourselves, that what I see with my own personal experience and my clients and friends and family is that it's this interconnectedness of acceptance that's reliant upon a pool of other things occurring. So for that self-acceptance thing to happen, like people can tell you until you're blue in the face that you're good enough, that you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you. But at the end of the day, like if you haven't actually like mapped out, these are the goals I'm setting for myself, and this is the benchmarks that I want, this is the benchmark I want to reach, and this is, however that is defined for you, you're not going to be able to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer, just in the sense of, I'm thinking of like COVID, for example. At the beginning of before COVID, we had people with successful businesses, successful marriages, well-adjusted children, and maybe all those things changed in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
are they still good enough?
Right. I think that there's the first thing that has to happen is you have to have a modicum of self-awareness. Because if you are lacking awareness, you are not going to be able, you're going to either think that you're never good enough, or you're going to be arrogant and think that, you're better than everybody else. So, bringing that level of vulnerability and humility and self-awareness to the conversation, and saying, like, for me, that not enoughness was that was my baseline for years and years. So I was always striving to better myself, but the way that I was qualifying it was a load of BS. Like, there wasn't anything extra that I had to do. I was good enough the way I was, but I didn't have the higher level of awareness to understand what that self-talk was doing and what those limiting beliefs were doing in my life and how out of alignment I was. And then once I started doing the work and it came out, like, you know, I mean, there's still minute to minute changes sometimes depending on the day and lack of sleep. I mean, let's be honest. But, you know, accepting yourself, I think, is separate from whether or not it's enoughness, because you can accept that you still want to do more work, right? Like, you still want to do more self-work. You still want to do more to grow and change and explore and learn. That never has to end. But that enoughness thing is a whole nother, like, I see them as two different things, I guess.
It would be great if we had Marjorie Salson on again this week, our panelist from last week, who is 80, to get her perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe being good enough and accepting ourselves should have nothing to do with those other things. Like, it shouldn't have to do with work at all, or marriage, or your children. You can have some input into that, but ultimately you don't have as much control as you think.
Mm-hmm.
And when you recognize that you don't have that control, you can forgive yourself what you might think are lackings or failures, because you don't have control over it. And you certainly don't have control over what other people do. Thank you, Jenny. We're going to go over to Diego. Diego, at what point are we good enough? When are we self-approved enough to accept ourselves? And you can add on to what other people said too.
I really appreciated Jenny's comments. I'm a coach. Some of you know that I coach high-level sports for kids, and so a lot of this comes into place. I often tell them that you become good enough when somebody passes you. Right? When somebody actually gets better than you, you've accepted good enough because somebody out there wants to be better than that. But I do believe also that, you know, in life, and I wish I can say this right, I've heard the expression something along the lines that you spend the first early years of your life working so hard to get people to pay attention to you. And then you spend the next part of your life working to get people to follow you. And then you spend the last part of your life not caring what people thinking. Right? And so for me, the whole thing about good enough is really about knowing, and it's the self-awareness thing. It's why I appreciated Jenny's comment so much. It's just knowing what your passions are. And if you have a life that's full of a passion, whether it's the people in your life or the work in your life, whatever it may be, you'll never find that good enough, because you're always going to have that passion driving you to be better at it and help other people and encourage other people at it. But I will say we all run through seasons. You know, I think about, I am certain that when the guy who created and became successful with Blockbuster thought that he had it all, well, you know, can anybody find a Blockbuster anymore? They had to adapt. They had to change. You know, to your point, Stephen, when COVID hit, you know, Rockstar Connect is live events. Hundreds of people were attending them. And then you had to shift, and you would have never thought last November that you would have a Rockstar Connect like you have it now without what happened with COVID. It's certainly an exceptional thing. So I'm very weary of the expression good enough, because if you're passionate about something, you never want to know what good enough really is.
Excellent points. And, you know, you bring up, you know, Blockbuster, you know, Wayne Huizenga, who was the CEO and the owner of Blockbuster, who was in South Florida, also in the Miami Dolphins, own a big garbage truck company. You know, I think that the perspective of someone like him would be, okay, Blockbuster served its purpose for its time. It no longer exists, but that has nothing to do with my worth, because we've achieved what we've achieved, and we've had that impact on people. Because there are people today that weren't even born when Blockbuster is around, but they talk about it. So my daughter, who is 17, who went into a Blockbuster, must have been when she was 4 or 5, was talking to our 10-year-old last week about Blockbuster and saying, yeah, there used to be this store, and it was like Redbox, but you could go inside of the Redbox, and there were thousands of videos, and they sold treats, and they sold, and they sold snacks. I mean, just the fact that it's being remembered, that's a fantastic thing. And also, our businesses, we are not our businesses. It's just things that we do, in our lives, but it's not what makes us good enough. And, I think of, we're all business people. We run businesses. So we think within those perspectives of, business is important. We have to be successful in business. There are millions of people that have never owned a business. There are millions of people that have never had an actual job. Their job has been taking care of their children at home or being a volunteer. So for the people that are listening that are having trouble in their business now, please, take comfort from the fact that how good you are is not defined by whether you have a business or whether that business is now currently successful. Dr. Holly Sullenger, welcome. Welcome, John FitzGerald. We are in the second hour, so we have some new people coming in. And Jackie, we're going to jump. I think we're going to let Clint and Domenic answer the question of the week, and then we're going to jump in with the new people. So, Domenic, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, great. At what point are we good enough, and when are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves? Is it when you become the world's greatest lover?
Well, I mean, it's always when you become the world's greatest lover.
Okay.
When you know you're good enough. So this is a question that's interesting, and it depends on the perspective of how you kind of approach it, right? So there's accepting yourself the way you are, right? So saying that you're good enough. One of the things that we have kind of a say or almost a mantra in our house that in order to make people feel at comfort and at ease is that you are safe, you are loved, and you are enough just the way you are. And that's really, really powerful way of calming anxieties and making our 3 teenage children feel comfortable in their own skin, which is a challenge in and of itself, dealing with kids going through adolescence. But it's also really important when you're in a relationship and you want to maybe there's an argument or maybe there's something going on outside that's causing stress, and just to remember that that you're enough just the way you are, and that you're accepted the way you are by the people that love you. But then you get into, and that's not a but, I'm not dismissing that. That's extremely important. You also need to understand that you're not ever a finished product. You don't ever need to stop thinking about ways to be a better version of yourself until you take your last breath, I think. I mean, I don't ever want to sit there and go, I'm never going to get any better. I'm never going to learn anything more. I've got it all under control, because, the minute you stop getting better is, the moment that you've just given up on life, really. I think that's the secret to living a long life is making sure that you're constantly improving. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say, the old mantra, good enough is never good enough, because we're all at some point, achieve some level of excellence. But you can always do a little bit better. You can always learn a little bit more. You can always make a better relationship, with somebody that you work with, or somebody who you're friends with, somebody, your life partner. And so I kind of go with the saying that my father taught me when I was very young. It's a combination of 2 sayings, really, that I make my 12-year-old son repeat each and every day, just to help him with some self-esteem issues and understanding that, he's worth it. But the first one is, today I'm going to do my very, very best. And the second part of that is, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. So, yeah, you're good enough to accept yourself. And I think that can come at any point in life, depending on who you are and how you measure yourself, but you're never too good to get better.
Excellent. And, there's something that, Jenny and Adam, and I think really all of you have been talking about, awareness. And I think that's the self-improvement. Is continuing to become more aware that you were always good enough. There was never a time that you were not good enough, even if someone said you weren't good enough, and even if you said that to yourself. And that's where, in my opinion, the self-improvement comes in. You recognizing your value and your talents, and that you are good enough to be liked. You're good enough to have friends and colleagues and coworkers, and you always were. And that's what you're teaching your son. This is not something you have to grow in to be good enough. You're beyond good. And I would say that's a universal truth. And when you are aware of that, and we'll have to come to Norma to talk more about this. When you're aware of your authentic self, then you will be more successful in those external ways, but you will have always been successful. Clint, what are your thoughts on the question? Do you want me to repeat the question for you?
No, man, you're good. So I'm everybody's already said, everything pretty much, I agree with everybody that's talking about putting in the work, because if you don't put in the work, then you're never going to feel like you're good enough, So this period. But Jay Shetty has a really good meditation for this. He says, just put your hand on your heart and repeat to yourself, I'm just where I need to be. And it's where you are in the moment and how you feel about yourself in the moment, but you always got to grow. You always got to be willing to put in the work.
Well, also you're right, Clint. And I'm getting a little reverb. Hold on. Let me stop screaming into the mic. I think, and this falls into what Jenny talks about with imposter syndrome as well, you create a persona for yourself. That persona exists when you're interacting with other people, and you've sold them that persona by demonstrating how hard you work, and that your mouth writes checks that your ass can cash. And then all of a sudden you may be in a situation where you're not able to do that anymore, whether that be with a client or a friend or a coworker. But you have to recognize that doesn't make you less good. Those are just happen to be circumstances. So that's part of the awareness and accepting ourselves.
Well, it's all about mindfulness and yourself and others, and it's, if you're mindful of where you are in the moment, you're always going to feel good enough, and there, don't get me wrong, there's always room for improvement, in any aspect, but as long as you are mindful of where you are and that you're doing your very best, you're always good enough.
I mean, I'm only talking about us. All the rest of the people out there, they suck. You guys are all really good. The rest of them, they're not.
That's a little rough there, Stephen.
I'm just teasing a little bit. But there are some things going on, in social media and on Facebook where people are feeling the need to denigrate other people and call them idiots and morons, people they don't even know. For some people, that really is a hurtful thing to say. To call someone an idiot, because they may have struggled with them in their life. And I know that everyone that's on this panel is out there going out of their way to enlighten people and not participate in that nonsense. And I appreciate you all for that. I'd like to welcome John FitzGerald. John, you didn't get an opportunity in the first hour to tell just a little bit about who you are and what you do, but more importantly, what was your success in the last week? And then I'm going to give you the big question of the week.
Oh, okay. John FitzGerald, I am a real estate broker, and I run an office of Wilkinson area real estate in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am also the director of agent services, which means I provide support, training, coaching, and mentoring for our 850 agent staff. My big success last week was I was certified by North Carolina Real Estate Commission as a licensed instructor. So I will be bringing to our firm the ability to teach pre-licensing, post-licensing, continuing education, and we'll be adding that to our repertoire of coaching and mentoring.
Excellent. Now, before COVID, at the beginning of COVID, you had facial hair, right? You had a beard and mustache?
Yeah, it's been a tough 6 months, man. It all fell out.
Just fell out. Okay. So that's a great success. Now we're going to get into the deep question. And I've had pretty long conversation with you on the phone about 6 months to 8 months, might have been a year ago. Who knows? Time has stood still or moved very fast, depending on the day. At what point are we good enough, John? And when are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves?
That's a great question. I listened to some of the responses. I'm a big fan of positive mental attitude and self-awareness. And I think that we're good enough when we understand that we're good enough. That the expectations of others, and especially those of society and social media, really have no impact on who we are, what we do. I tell people all the time that unless I look in the mirror, I got a full head of hair. I mean, I reach up here and it's fuzzy, but I don't know that I don't have hair on my head. I have no idea unless somebody sticks a mirror in front of my face. And to have the ability to have confidence that you can do anything you want to do that you set your mind to, as long as you pay the price. Nature demands a price for everything that we ask of it. And if we're willing to do that, we can have virtually anything we want. And once you get to that level of self-actualization, then you really then begin to understand that while I may not play golf as good as Bryson DeChambeau, I'm okay, and I'm good with myself. And that's really the genesis of the whole thing is having that self-actualization to realize that that I am good enough, that I can continue to grow, but I'm not accountable to anybody but me.
Well, that's fantastic. And let's look at it sort of from a real estate agent perspective. What real estate agents are the good ones? Which ones are good enough in your mind? Not just going through the motions and getting a check, but the best real estate agents.
I believe in three things to be a great real estate agent. Number one is you have to have mastery of the paperwork. This is a business where, we talk a lot, we see a lot, we do a lot of things that we coulda, woulda, shoulda, but unless it's in writing, it's not guaranteed to happen. And if you don't have mastery of the contracts, you're really missing out, number one. Number two is communication. This is a business where emotions run very high. And if you're not able to communicate with your client, with the other side, and with the different vendors that are part of the transaction in a competent manner and a diligent manner, you're going to have problems. And last but not least is a creativity to see not just the circumstances and needs that your clients have, but the emotional connection to that. And that's the key to really, locking someone into committing to doing something is, it's an emotional, it's a transference of emotion based by logic. So I can get somebody really excited about a real estate, seeing a house or seeing a home or seeing a property, but if they don't justify it logically, then the deal's going to fall apart. So I have to be really, really good at being creative and creating that excitement, but justifying it with logic, making sure that I can communicate at wherever they need it, whether it's a phone call, face-to-face, a text, an email, whatever platform they like, Zoom now. And last but not least, if you can't fill out a contract with, and understand how that works, then you're behind the eight ball. So those three things I believe are key to being a great real estate agent.
Well, empathy seems to be very high in the third portion. But if you don't have the other two skills, it's going to be difficult to be empathetic.
Yeah, I mean, because the deal falls apart. You can say I'm sorry all you want, but you know, if you don't understand the contract that you are helping your client enter into, you know, there's the road is paved with good intentions.
Well, as far as contracts, you know, I mean, this weekend I got an offer, and if this is boring, you guys, sorry, I haven't done it well. And they made an offer, and the agent had a question about the mineral oil and gas, because we put no representation, which is, you know, what 99.9% of them are going to say. But he didn't understand that piece of paper. He didn't get that education, and because of that, he probably scared his client a lot and made it more difficult for them to make an offer. Since we spoke last, Sarah my wife, and you spoke with her too, conversation with her. She started a company called Carefree Closings. And we're actually doing transaction coordination here in the Triangle for agents, making sure that they understand the processes and that they go smoothly so that they can do more of number 2 and number 3, and we can help them a lot with number 1.
Yeah.
At the closing. So you may want to have a conversation with
Carefree Closings.
Carefreeclosings.com.
Love it.
And we utilize the Rockstar Connect team with all their great skills. You know, they can deliver thousands of events. Every real estate transaction is an event, basically, with a lot of moving pieces and a lot of people participating. The real estate agent's almost like an event planner rolled up with a salesperson, rolled up with a social worker, therapist, and so on. So Norma, Hollis, this is a great question for you. And in fact, when I chose this question, I was thinking of you. At what point are we good enough? When are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves?
That's a very interesting 3-part question, Mr. Stevens. So when are we good enough? When are we able to accept ourselves? And when are we good enough? I'm not sure how you put those, but
I'm going to say it again. At what point are we good enough? And when are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves?
Well, you know, self-acceptance should always be there, but unfortunately it's not. You know, we're a society that we're all pretty much raised, everyone I know pretty much has been raised to be perfect. I love the comments that I heard Domenic make. That's when I first came on the call. It's a lot of wisdom in what he said, and his raising his children particularly, because children, you know, I'm sure we all remember the playground challenges and how hard it is to be authentic on the playground with the other kids when you start seeing the values that are different. So in my work with authenticity, I refer to authenticity as self-awareness, and self-awareness is a combination of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-management. So I've heard you talk about self-awareness a bit, which is really knowing yourself on a deeper level, because, you know, nowhere is self-awareness taught. We don't teach it at school. We don't teach it at churches. A lot of kids learn it on the video games or the bullies on the playground. So I really admire Domenic and what he's doing in helping his children be aware, because that's really a missing link of the whole raising. So I think part of the answer is we realize we're good enough when we realize who we are. And sometimes that doesn't come until we've had enough experience in life. I think I mentioned last week about everything before 50 is just practice. So some of that acceptance that we get comes with the wisdom of age. And then I also mentioned, you asked a question about a question that you would want to ask. And someone said, is ignorance really bliss? And so I think if we stop growing, then we become ignorant, because as I mentioned with that, ignorance is about not allowing yourself to gain more perspective. So when you gain more perspective, you continue to grow, you continue to evolve, because you learn more, you're dealing with more information. So when you allow yourself not to grow, that's when you don't evolve and don't really become who you are. So I think that was a convoluted answer, but hopefully you got some substance out of it.
Well, I mean, you're one of the most confident people that I know. You always impress me. I think about you when I'm speaking to other people, and I said I'd like to introduce. In fact, there's someone I'll introduce you to that I think would be great for both of you. But when did you become? Have you always been this confident? Have you always known that you're good enough, or was there a pivotal point in your life where you came to that awareness?
Oh, I think I became aware that I was good enough about 4 years ago. It may appear as if I have had all this confidence, and I've always had I've had a level of faith and a mission and a deeper, I've always been able to see deeper behind the corporate structures, if you will, and the deeper part of life. And so I was kind of born that way. And so my path in life has been different than most people because I had health challenges. I took antibiotics for 40 years, which really messed up my body for ear infections. And I had ear infections for 55 straight years and 3 surgeries that finally stopped last December. But in the process, I had to make all kinds of modifications in my life, in my diet and my energy. I had Candida albicans, I had this, I had that. So in so doing, I got a chance to learn more of who I am. I dropped out of the workaday world probably 25 years ago because I didn't have the energy health-wise to make it back and forth to work every day. So I had to figure out a different way to live. And because of that, I gained a new perspective. And because of that, I had to prove to myself, I had to learn who I am. It's a long journey that started when I was 28. And I'll tell you that story another time. But I've been on a journey since I was 28, and I'm several decades older than that now. And it just was a journey that helped me to really connect with who I am. And so because of that, because my path has been different, I have a different perspective. And I help people who have gotten on autopilot, doing the same thing every day, not so much entrepreneurs sometimes, but a lot of people doing the same thing every day and not enjoying it and going back and doing it again the next day over and over and over again for the income. And I just found that there are other things in life that have a deeper purpose, at least for me, they do.
That's fantastic. I think you should connect with John because real estate agents are not born real estate agents. There's very few people that get out of high school and they become real estate agents. They usually come to it later in life, because their life is adapted, that's the perfect career for them. I would love for you to speak to some of his agents or at least have a conversation with him sometime in the future. So we'll make sure that you guys get each other's information so you can connect.
Thank you. Look forward to it, John. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Norma. Jackie, are you there? Did we lose
I'm here.
Can we see you? We weren't getting a good picture of your face before. Now all we see is your name. Is your camera working?
1 second. Can you see me now?
You're invisible. We just see your name. Okay, now we see you. If you could just...
You can see me now.
A little bit lower because all we see is the top of your head and your glasses. So this is a question I know that is exactly up your alley and the type of question that you like. You like the serious ones, not so much the silly ones, although you always do a good job on the silly ones too. Jackie, at what point are we good enough and when are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves?
I believe that after you've done all that you could possibly do to achieve your goals, you're good enough. And when you get to that point, you have to understand that it's very important that the only validation that matters at that point is yours.
Excellent. And for you, when did that occur?
Stephen, that to me is like a revolving door because you set new goals daily. And so I can't tell you when that occurs, except for I can go back to what I just said to you, is that it's after you set those goals and after you've done all that you could possibly do to achieve those goals, then that's when you know you're good enough to move on to the next set of goals. And so it's an ongoing thing. I don't think that's something that ever stops.
And for the people that are beneficiaries of the Derek Wittenburg Foundation, do you help them determine that they're good enough? When they receive those grants, is that an affirmation for them, part of the process?
Absolutely. And I may have mentioned this before. I think I did on the last call, is that I have an acronym that I use throughout my own personal life, and I share that with the people that I care about and those students that benefit from our work. It's important that they understand that they too, that acronym WIN is applicable to them. That means you're worthy, you're intelligent, and you're necessary. And I can't stress that enough because there are too many people walking around thinking because they haven't achieved the level of success that someone else has, that they're not worthy anymore. That they question their intelligence, they question whether or not they're smart enough. that never happens with me because I have embedded in my brain. It's called self-motivation and really believing in yourself. And I've experienced, like, this last week has been really crazy for me. I'm in the middle of making some decisions that can affect a lot of things that I've been doing over the past few years. And I just have to step back and evaluate those those situations before I finalize my decision. But never once am I walking into this or walking away not feeling I was good enough, either way it turns out. And so I believe I'm a winner. I think I'm worthy, intelligent, and necessary. I don't know everything. That's why I'm always open to learn as much as I possibly can. But one thing I know for sure, because there are things that I do not know, doesn't mean that I'm not worthy or intelligent enough to learn those things.
100%. Sarah's nodding in agreement there too. Also, we put an extra layer of what makes us good that is sort of, it's sort of superficial. It's our success in our businesses, our financial success, how many people we impact. My mother never started a business before. She never did that. She worked hard, but she's 100 times better than I am, in my opinion. I put my mom way high up there. Mm-hmm. So I think part of understanding that you're good enough is understanding that a lot of what we use to judge people is completely and utterly superficial.
I agree with that 100%. And, like I say, and I have another thing that I live by because I truly believe this. It is not. People have a tendency to judge people based on what they do or what they have. But to me, I think all of that's superficial because they're working backwards. Really, you should look at a person, accept them for face value for who they are, because it's who they are as a human being that determines their actions, what they'll do. It's not the other way around. The devil can do great things, but is the devil a good person? And so, it's superficial. So I look at people the same way. You have to be a person of integrity, a quality human being, a person who cares about humanity, a person who cares about mankind, to do certain things and make them so that to do them in a way in such that they're impacting people in a profoundly positive way. Because we have tons of people who do things every day to look good, but it looks good until you peel back the layers on who they are, on their character. And I see that every day. And it's unfortunate because I'm a people person, but it took me a long time to realize there are layers of people. Everybody is not you. I'm coming to you in the raw. What you see is what you get. It never changes. The personality never changes. I'm very upfront in the direction that I want to build our relationship on, which is nothing shy of truth, trust, honesty, and transparency, and integrity. All of those things are wrapped up together. And so it took me the longest time, and I had to experience some not so inviting things to happen in order for me to get to the point where I had to understand that it's not how many people that fall into that category, it's the quality of people that fall in that category. And now that I know and understand that, life's a lot simpler.
I mean, the way you conduct your life and the way you treat other people is important, not necessarily how other people perceive you. Mm-hmm. 100%. I used to work for a real estate brokerage, you never work for a real estate brokerage if you're doing it right. And they used to have a board on the wall with everyone's production. And it put a lot of tension there because the person who was making the most deals was making the most money and they were the best person, because that's what was up on the board. And then I switched to another brokerage where we never see each other's production. We never see it. And because of that, we all work together as a unit, helping one another and sharing. There's no secrets. We share everything with one another, our techniques on how to help our clients. And because of that, we're better real estate agents. We're not judging one another, so we can truly be good enough.
People all the time, if you are seeking validation, or you want everybody to know what you're doing, there's usually some issue there. You've got some deeper rooted problems. But I think if you do good by people, and you don't need to say anything. You don't need to post your production, so to speak. Those people will let people know the impact that you've had, on their lives, or the greatness that you've done for them. So I don't think it's necessary to put up what your achievements are, because most of the times they put the result up there, but they don't tell you how it happened. And sometimes it didn't happen in the right way.
Yeah, I was seeing a post yesterday of a gentleman who, he had 15 transactions, and those transactions resulted in $32 million in sales. And he was arguing that he was more successful than someone who did 32 transactions and had 9 million in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more effective at making more money, but who helped and served more people? That would be my question. Sarah, there's something that Sarah says, pretty frequently, and I think she got it from her grandparents or her parents. But what other people think about you is really none of your business.
And you know what? I agree with her 100%. I used to say that all the time with a former employee, because every week in the staff meeting, they were talking about what other people thought. And, when you handle your business and you do right by people and you do things and you're functioning as a team member, what those other people think about you should not matter. So, and I do feel that way. What you think about me is none of my business.
I have a great little anecdote. I was brought in when I first started in real estate, and I was very lucky. I was, achieved a lot very quickly. And the broker in charge brought me into her office, and I thought she was going to give me some praise, and we all enjoy a little bit of praise. But she said, you need to cool it, because 50% of the people here in this office do not like you. And I said,
wow.
Well, if 50% of the people in the office don't like me, that means 50% do like me. I could run for president of the United States with that. I can live with that, because I'm only here to help other people, and they can accept it or they can't. I'm open and I'm available to them. And that's the creed and motto of the person who is a networker. We do not assign $1 to every interaction that we have with our fellow networker. It's about helping people become their best selves. And by doing so, we achieve so much more. So people ask me, well, why will you take a phone call with me for 30 minutes to 2 hours to discuss my business? And I say, because the best way to learn is to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I learn about you and the more I help you understand how great you are, the better I am going to be at whatever I do. And, we have a lot of roles, parent and spouse and co-worker, servants, basically. We have to be great servants. Dr. Holly, welcome. We haven't seen you for a few weeks. I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
Oh, one moment, Holly. I want to thank Jackie. Jackie is a sponsor of this Thursday's Rockstar Connect event at Sullivan's. It is her third time doing so. So she's been very dedicated to helping Rockstar Connect continue to bring live events to the local Raleigh community. And it's huge. I mean, it really is enormous, the impact that event has to the people that go to that event and to their families and so on, the business that's being passed, but also the fellowship. So thank you, Jackie, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. It's much appreciated. And Holly, we need to get you to that event.
I agree.
Thursday, 11:30 to 1:30. Okay.
Thursdays are my typical work day, so have it on another day.
No, you're going to take 2 hours off because you need to eat lunch.
Okay, there you go.
Everyone has to eat lunch, or they should. Most important meal of the day is Rockstar Connect luncheons.
I agree.
I didn't tell you. So I'm going to give you the question again. Okay. At what point are we good enough? When are we self-improved enough to accept ourselves?
I've been listening to the responses, and I love the question. Very thought-provoking. I think we all have different levels at which we feel we've arrived. The level that I have might be different than the level you have for yourself. And I think one of the last couple of Rockstar Connects that I was on, I mentioned to you that every morning that I wake up, I ask myself 2 questions before I ever get out of bed. The first one is, what is one thing that I can do to improve myself today, to make me a better person today than I was yesterday? And the second question is, what is one thing that I can do to help one other person today? And every day I wake up and I ask those 2 questions, and every day that starts my goal or my focal point. Having said that, in my humble opinion, I think I've arrived when I'm able to help other people. When I am able to lift others up, if I'm able to give them a new tool, if I'm able to make their lives easier, that's when I feel like I've arrived. And I feel like I have, at this point in my life, several superpowers that I'm very happy with. But I firmly believe that even when we're not acting our best, even when we don't have other people and their interests in mind, we can be super wonderfully impactful of others. For example, if somebody cuts me off on the highway, I might make the decision that, gee, that was a jerk move. I'm never going to do that to somebody else, and that changes the scope of my driving from that point forward. I'm sure several of the panelists can say they either had parents or people in their lives that did things that they thought, oh, I'm never doing that. That is not something that I feel comfortable with or would want in my life or would want to share with somebody else. And we've made lifestyle decisions based on the actions of other people. So when I'm doing my leadership training, I always tell my leaders, you are always a role model. I don't care if you think you are or not, you're always a mentor, whether you've signed up for the program or not. When you have other people's eyes on you, you never know what people are getting from your actions. So you have to decide for yourself if you're going to be a force for good or a force for evil. And sometimes on the days that we're acting at our worst, we're actually the most impactful for others. And it might not be a bad thing for others. It might be them going, ooh, I'm never going to be like Holly, and choosing a different path. So I think that, knowing when we're our best, that's not always when we are the most impactful to those of us, others around us.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Since John hasn't been on in a while, John hasn't been a panelist now. I think he was on our panel the first week or second week. So that's like 27 Rockstar Connects ago. What do you want to have the final word on this question?
I think this. I've been listening, and everyone's got some really great insights on this. It all comes down to having at least the confidence in your own skin, and realizing that if you wake up and you're happy. If you wake up, you should be happy. You don't want to make that morbid, but if you wake up, you should be happy. Dr. Holly, helping other people is really, Zig Ziglar says you can have anything in life you want as long as you help enough other people get what they want. Strong fundamentals. And last but not least, never stop growing. I make the comment because I do a lot of coaching and training in my organizations. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. If I'm ever the smartest person in the room, I'm leaving because we got a problem here.
You're in the wrong room.
I'm in the wrong room. I want to be around people that help me grow and develop. I want to bring in people that help my team grow and develop, because it's just so much more gratifying to help someone else. And it brings the power of reciprocity back onto you, especially if you do that to somebody who may not have been expecting it or may not have deserved it. That whole thing about someone cuts you off in traffic and hey, instead of the other hey you would send them. Those are things that if you practice those on a regular basis, I think that you'll find that you really will develop a sense of calm and peace in who you are, but you'll be driven to grow and develop. So that's kind of, it's kind of mishmash of what everyone has been saying, but I think that they're all really good ways to look at, to be confident, to continue to grow, and to help other people above all else.
I think you've added a whole other layer to it as well. It's about association too, and who you associate with. That's what shows you're good as well. And I chose to live in Raleigh, and one of the things that really, and I'm sure this is why Dr. Holly brought it up, for someone to have road rage in Raleigh, it's a very rare thing. Like, people it's not considered nice to honk horns here. If you cut people off, you sort of like apologize when you accidentally do it. You wait your turn, you wait in lines. And that's, people that have chose to live here by association with other people that are like that. I hope it stays that way. Absolutely. Sarah, do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, in fact, when you're driving around Raleigh, people are so polite that they don't zipper merge, which is the funniest thing. If you come from somewhere else, you can always tell who learned to drive somewhere else, because the left lane will end, and only the people who learn to drive somewhere else will wait until the lane ends. Everybody else who learned to drive here is already over. There's nobody in the left lane.
Right. There's nobody in the left lane. And
we all
also,
sort of look at them out of the sides of our eyes when they fly past us on the left to get up to the end of the zipper.
yeah. So for all of you guys out there around the country that want to move to a great place, I am a real estate agent in the Raleigh area. But like when they introduced roundabouts here, it was initially a really big problem because everybody wanted to yield to everyone else that was going into the circle. So, it didn't alleviate the problem. It took years for people to understand it. So we have a little bit of time actually left at the end of the show.
We should use that to discuss the power of zipper merging and how people need to learn how to do it in Raleigh.
And it really made Sarah mad at me until I explained, and I had to show this is really the way it is designed.
Yes, it is.
Actually, here in Raleigh on 540, they've created a whole system that during hours it's mandatory to zipper merge, and you go, they have special lighting systems and everything. But I thought I'd give everyone, an opportunity to give a quick shameless plug of what they do that are on the show today. And why don't we start with Domenic? Give your elevator pitch.
Yeah,
This is
so
not something we do frequently on 3 Martini because we never have time. But go
exactly.
ahead.
Shameless plug. I am a community connector and business financial services specialist with New York Life. I work with startup and scaling high technology firms in the Triangle area and across the country to help those companies secure their investment capital, attract and retain top level talent, and work on their exit strategy planning.
Excellent. And he's also a Rockstar Connect host here.
That is correct. RTP Business Networking. I'm also the lead organizer for the RTP chapter of 1 Million Cups, which is part of the Kauffman Foundation.
A really cool thing.
Yep.
Look him up, connect with him on LinkedIn. Dr. Holly.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Holly Sullenger. I am an international now corporate speaker, trainer, and consultant. And I do talks in 3 different content areas. I do leadership, professional development, and technology. I love to see it when people have an aha moment or have a light bulb moment.
Well, thank you. Drop your information in the chat, please.
I'll do it.
Adam.
Hi, everybody. Adam Bricker, a marketing strategist with Adam Connects, where we develop digital branding cards. A shameless plug this week is going to be for my clients. Number 1, Katie Wagner is a #1 best-selling author, and we're doing a virtual book tour for her on Thursday. And we have Paula Oleska, who has her memory course. So if you want to improve your memory, those are 2 of my clients that are being connected right now.
Excellent. And John, since you haven't been on the panel long enough, we do a lot of joint venture partnerships with Adam Bricker. He does digital business cards that are marketing tools. So they're really something that real estate agents could use right off the bat. Jenny.
Hi. So I am a digital content specialist and brand and marketing photographer. So I hope you get seen and stay seen by your target audience on social media and in the digital space. I have an online course. It's called Stories and Strategy, creating content that sells without being salesy. I have a Facebook group where we talk about all things social media and content marketing. And surprise, it's called Social Media and Content Marketing. I'm here in Raleigh, but I work wherever my clients are. So feel free to connect with me. I'll drop my information in the chat.
Just to sort of demonstrate what you're doing, what are you going to be doing for Sarah and I over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so we are going to be doing, I actually have some really fun ideas, but So for the branding photography, what we do is it's really about telling a story. So how you relate to your world. You guys are like all rock star, all Raleigh, all the time. It is a powerful piece in your puzzle. So we're going to do some shots in downtown Raleigh and a couple of different places. And it's not just like the, hi, we don't do that. Like, that's just not.
Yeah.
It's not all the posed headshots. It's going to be about who you are individually and who you are as a power couple, and kind of representing that in an image, and kind of seeing, where that goes.
Well, that's it. We're excited about that because I don't want one of those, I got to get rid of my real estate headshot, those ones that you keep for 20 years sort of thing.
So
you look
my
fit.
rule of thumb is like everyone needs a new headshot at least once a year, especially if like women, you change your hair frequently. Right now it's teal. Next month there's going to be different colors. I'm just saying. But men, I've had men say to me, well, my headshot's from 16 years ago. There's nothing wrong with it. And I look at it and I'm like, but you had hair. And there's no hair.
Right.
Like,
you used to look like George Clooney.
Right? Like, if you really want to have this conversation, we can go outside maybe. You want to throw down a little bit and like challenge me as to why I'm saying you need a new headshot. But
looks like John needs a new photo. He just showed his old headshot with the full beard and mustache. Yeah, like right now we're taking so many pictures of the puppy, and Sarah just grabbed the puppy to take the puppy outside. But I'm sure you can see how much the puppy has changed.
Just in a couple of weeks, yeah.
But we've been taking a lot of photos, and it's showing parts of my head that I have not seen in quite a while. And I do picture myself with an extremely full head of hair, but there's something coming up on the back here and a little bit on the front here. And I notice I've been brushing over a little bit more.
And it's about representing you in like an authentic and enhanced way, right? Like I have a few realtor clients. We do different things for each of those clients. I have one that her tagline is the designing realtor. So we went into Target and I surreptitiously pulled my camera out inside Target and we did some branding photos in Target because that's part of her brand is she goes, Ziggy. Oh, I love Ziggy.
Ears have popped up. See?
I know. It's so cute. It's like Yoda. But yeah, so, we can do a lot of different things as to share.
I like that whole concept of the stories, and utilizing, pictures and words to tell a story, not just, a headshot in alone and of itself. So we're excited about working with you. Jackie, tell us a little bit about what you're doing and who you are.
Well, I am Jacqueline Wittenburg, Executive Director and co-founder of the Derek Wittenburg Foundation. And our organization is a 501c3 public charity, and we help college students graduate, achieve their goal of completing an undergraduate degree while also helping them to lower student debt.
Excellent, fantastic, and we're looking forward to doing a lot of things with you the rest of the year. I mean, right now, time is slowed down. Election time, everything slows down. 3 months, or what is it till the election? Just a few. 35 days. It feels like it's a whole year from now. So
yeah, it's been a rough 2020, but you know what? Where there's a will, there's a way. We'll get through it.
The best news of 2020 I saw yesterday. Cracker Barrel will now be serving beer, wine, and mimosas.
I saw that too. Yes. Now maybe I'll go there.
And Cracker Barrel will now be the #1 brunch spot, probably in the entire world. Best news I've heard of 2020. It will be a little better when they start serving Bloody Marys in addition to that. But I can live with mimosas with my fried pork chops.
My husband likes to go there for the game on the table, the little wooden, whatever that is, the Chinese checkers. He loves that. Now I'll go with him, but I'll be going for the wine.
They need to be live streaming that on the internet because that's going to be more entertaining than Waffle House at 2 a.m. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's going to be, it's every type of person.
The only thing is, I'm hoping that the wine is good.
After the first one, it doesn't make a difference how good it is.
That is incorrect.
Well, I can't make it past the first one if it's not good.
I just sort of hold my nose and go, we're not big wine drinkers over here. Norma, can you tell us all about what you do with helping people find about their authentic selves?
Yes, I am an authenticity specialist. And what that means is I've studied it for 30 plus years, and I have a whole system to help people become more self-aware and to build their authenticity. I also work with organizations to help them create more dignity and culture within their organization from an authentic perspective. And my most favorite thing to do is to certify coaches and speakers to deliver my program as a speaker, facilitator, or as a coach. So if anyone's interested in knowing more about themselves, connected with their self-awareness, increasing their emotional intelligence. You know, research says that the more self-aware you are, the more successful you'll be, because you make better decisions, you have more perspective, and you just have a happier life in the long run. So that's what I do, help people change from where they are to where they want to be.
Well, when you're aware of your authentic self too, you know your value and you know what to charge, right?
Yes, that's very true. That doesn't make a difference. That's
you don't give up your money.
Yes.
John, we'll end with you.
Yeah, so I am a real estate broker, but my most favorite thing to do is coach, teach, and train. And so what I do is I have 250 North Carolina agents that report directly to me and about 500 South Carolina agents that report directly to me. And I support an additional 600 agents system-wide. And what I do for them is I help analyze their business. I help them understand that real estate is a business and they should treat it like a business, and help them grow and develop. I provide not only logistics and fundamentals of real estate, but also I'm big into providing the same things that Norma's talking about. I'm a student of Napoleon Hill, Zig Ziglar, and Jim Rohn, and I like their philosophies and teachings of how to grow and develop yourself. And I implement that in my coaching, and it gives it a slightly different angle. Instead of me just asking for numbers and what did you do last week, I'm asking them to help grow and develop one day at a time. So I have parlayed that into a role within my company that expands that extra 850 people. So now instead of just my office, I now do that for the entire company. We have 11 offices in North and South Carolina. We are ERA Livermore in Raleigh and Wilkinson ERA in Charlotte, Winston-Salem.
That's great. It seems to me that what you're teaching your brokers is it's not just about them. And once they recognize everyone that's involved in the transaction and their needs, they're going to be much more successful, bottom line.
Yeah, if they think it's about them, they've lost. I mean, not only is it, I'm trying to teach them, but I let them know that if it's about you, you have lost the transaction. So it's reality based. It's experience. I've done this. This is my 23rd year of doing this. And I just try to explain to them, I'm not the smartest guy, but I can tell you what went wrong.
That's very important, to share our experiences where we made mistakes. That's our vicious dog. I think on that note, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone till next week. Tuesday, we're going to be back here 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time, and I hope to see a lot of you back again. This Thursday, I'll see you at Sullivan's in Raleigh, those of you that are attending, and I know a few of you are. Everyone, put your hand up. Bye for now. Rockstar Connect.